Our engineers very often are really concerned about the risks of technology. It's in our DNA as an engineer to actually think of what could go wrong. And that's something that I find as well with software developer, which is very interesting. But it's just like, what if, and you're really trying to understand what could go wrong, what would be the impact, the impact on your client, the relationship, the trust that would be broken. But there's also other impacts around cybersecurity, especially when you don't understand the technology itself. So really, we've been working a lot on governance, actually, and laying strong foundation in our business to reassure our people and to manage the risk.
Welcome to the Trailblazers podcast, presented by BST Global, where we feature the visionaries who are shaping the future of the AEC industry. My name is Eileen Canady, Chief Marketing Officer at BST Global, and your host on today's podcast. Joining me today, we have Nasrine Tomasi, Head of AI at Mott MacDonald. Welcome, Nasrine.
Good morning, Eileen.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you.
So I thought maybe we'd start off with your personal journey and your path from water engineering to leading AI at Mott MacDonald. Can you share your story and what led you to this point?
Yeah, that's quite an unexpected really journey when you talk about it like that. So starting as a water engineer, I actually started as a process engineer. Didn't quite like it because there was not enough data processing in the concept of process engineering to my liking. So went into hydraulic modeling and was lucky enough to have a line manager who was really supportive and himself very interested in pushing the boundaries of hydraulic modeling. There's a lot of information that you're collecting as part of hydraulic modeling. And we started actually sharing our concepts online when this was not a thing back then. And this led us to actually do more and more in the cloud, in real time, and to leverage AI and machine learning when machine learning was not quite AI back in the days. As part of that, essentially, it took me to do more and more into digital and to support our colleagues with AI in Mott MacDonald.
That's fantastic. And speaking of Mott MacDonald, can you tell us the audience, a little bit about Mott MacDonald and what the company does and what kind of impact it strives to make with some of the projects?
So that's a good question. We're a 20,000 people company, and we're a global company specialized in consultancy services in the AEC sector. We've got most of our offices in our European side of the business, but also offices in the United States and Canada and in Asia and Pacific. So I used to be one of the New Zealand employee, actually, and moved to France recently. We are really striving to make a difference when it comes to providing great services and sustainable services and ethics, and really coming with we've got really strong values at Mott MacDonald, which is something that resonates with me on a personal basis as well. Having this strong connection to our clients and the communities that they serve is something really important.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because you're also part of the Emerging Leaders Program.
Yeah.
And basically you engage in a lot of these industry events. How have some of these experiences shaped your leadership style?
It is true that Mott MacDonald is giving a lot to their people. So the Emerging Leaders Program is actually a 2-year program organized by Mott MacDonald, and it's life-changing. We've got great people surrounding us and really taking us to the next step in our careers. I don't think I would have become head of AI if it wasn't for this program. They are connecting us with a lot of people around the business. So we are 60 people doing the program every year, and really getting to know ourselves and the best versions of ourselves, which is something that you would not expect necessarily from a business. It's just like giving to the business or things like that. But it's actually, what do you look like when you're the best version of yourself, and what can you bring to the business when you're being yourself? So that's a very strong message, I think, that they are trying to share with all of us. And that's taking me here today.
Well, it's amazing. I love how much Mott MacDonald puts back into their employees. Mm-hmm. How do these values shape your strategy?
It's very important for us to actually be people-centric when it comes to AI. Very often, it's just You're right. How does it affect what we're going to do, and how can we empower our people? It's really about empowering our people, not replacing them. We obviously talk about productivity and things like that, and really the link to the work that we're doing, and what I was talking about around, doing what's best for our clients and their communities is something that's really strong, and that we wanted to link to our AI strategy. So. It's really working on projects with our engineers. Obviously, there's also all the back of house and what can be improved. But where we are trying to focus is really making this difference on projects.
Well, speaking of projects, you've led some impressive initiatives like the SafeSwim in the photo behind us, and the quality prediction tool for the flood forecasting, the platform in Bangkok. Can you highlight maybe some of the key challenges you encountered, and maybe some of the successes you've achieved with these projects?
So with SafeSwim, it was actually very early days when it came to predictive modeling and predictive analysis in general. I think we went in not knowing what we would be doing, really. It was a little bit of a... I think one of the beautiful things in New Zealand is actually you've got this trust, and Auckland Council had a project. Their infrastructure was obviously not coping with the load of wastewater in the system, which resulted in overflows. It's a very common problem that we see around the globe, but instead of hiding it, which is something that they usually do, they wanted to share that with users. And once again, we come back to this concept of empowering Aucklanders for them to make decisions based on the best information available. So instead of relying on something information that's available 2 to 3 days later, it's actually taking all this historical data and starting to forecast what's going to happen when we've got rain. So that was really the early days, and now the platform is being used by millions of people in New Zealand, which is amazing. It's also the center for lifeguards to provide information about danger around the different beaches in New Zealand, which is a great outcome, I believe.
That's excellent. Amazing what we can do with the initial stages, really, of AI.
Yeah, that's right. So that was really early days. Bangkok was a little bit different because we really leverage a strong machine learning capability in this project. So I think, and that's also a solution that we brought to Auckland Council following some of the flood events that they had in 2023. So really looking forward to see where they are going to take it.
With SafeSwim and some of the other programs, you've really helped drive innovation across Mott MacDonald. How do you inspire the engineers and your project teams to really embrace AI while also balancing some of the technological, cultural shifts that we're seeing?
I think there's a lot... Our engineers very often are really concerned about the risks of technology. It's in our DNA as an engineer to actually think of what could go wrong. And that's something that I find as well with software developer, which is very interesting. But it's just like, what if? And you're really trying to understand what could go wrong, what would be the impact, the impact on your client, the relationship, the trust that would be broken. But there's also other impacts around cybersecurity, especially when you don't understand the technology itself. So really, we've been working a lot on governance, actually, and laying strong foundation in our business to reassure our people and to manage the risk. We've got a really strong risk assessment platform where we log all our AI use cases, and we've got people from cybersecurity, from personal information, and all of those assessing the risk and actually giving you the go-ahead, or telling you that maybe you should go about it in a different way because there's a risk of bias or things like that. We're also considering sustainability, believe it or not, is very front of mind for our engineers. So finding the right model, making sure that we're not storing data for nothing, applying really the same kind of principles to the one we use in engineering and bringing them to technology, I think is something that's helping us bridge the gap.
You mentioned the hiring and engineers basically instinct to look at the risks and whatnot. So do you find that you need to hire a different type of employee in order to help embrace some of the AI initiatives?
I think we already have these employees. Actually, sometimes most of our young engineers and early career professionals are very keen on AI. They've been using it. It's part of what they are doing. So they sometimes feel frustrated. So we are essentially helping more senior people to embrace technology as well and to enable them to understand what technology can do as well. So we've got sessions with people. We talk about what we can do, the risks as well, so that they can manage this and understand what are the risks so that they can better manage them downstream.
What are some of the current AI initiatives that are underway at Mott MacDonald, and how do you measure the success against the broader vision?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we've got multiple initiatives. We've got, well, I think everybody's got these personal productivity initiatives running, around using copilots and things like that. We also have at the personal level a full pathway that's been implemented to develop your agents in a secure way. So making sure that you start with low-code initiatives, for example, but then have a pathway to more pro-code solutions as well, and that you can deliver that in a safe way. At a project level, we most of the time leave that with our regions. We've got AI leads in all our regions around the globe. And so when there's a need for a project, they will support these people and help them deliver on project initiatives. One of them, for example, that's worked really well is actually automating the categorization of public survey consultation and the answers being provided. This is a very time-consuming process. So all of these, we're trying to find where we've got efficiencies, where we still have people watching hours of videos or reading a lot of text or things like that. We've really selected some of these as part of the project side of things. And then on the enterprise level, we've got our own search and assistant that we've launched last year and that we're working on. So really looking at our internal information. So unlike a generic copilot, it's really understanding where the best information is and sharing that with our people. This is including all our technical information as well that's been curated and set into practices. And we're just starting as well on agents and the automation of workflows on projects to start cutting down a little bit of the grunt that we are all very familiar with, especially on large projects. So that's where we are at.
Well, it sounds like you're leading Mott MacDonald into some amazing AI initiatives. You're already well along your way. Yeah.
I think we're doing pretty well. It felt like, you never know where you're at compared to others. I think putting some focus and having this dedicated team looking into it, taking that into, I'm very organized, so I like to take things into boxes, identifying what can be done is really helping, defining our AI strategy, where we want the focus to be, understanding that, no, we're not going to go into programs, of delivering or developing our own solution for financial things and things like that. We should buy that. But then developing things for our own systems is where we want to be. So I think all of that made a lot of sense and is helping us getting a little bit of a path forward.
Well, that's great. And you're also a strong advocate for responsible AI. Mm-hmm. So how does Mott MacDonald ensure fairness, transparency, and accountability while balancing opportunities and risks in introducing some of these AI solutions?
So really, that's been, as I said earlier, that's been a very strong, we saw a very strong demand from the business around that. It's really balancing the opportunity and the risk side of things. So we've got an AI governance lead and an AI governance panel as well, and working group. We regroup on a monthly basis. We've implemented a very comprehensive governance system and looking into, logging these use cases and is part of that. We're working also with our suppliers and supply chain, making sure that we understand how they come to an answer, because it's this black box, system that we need to get into. So that's what we're doing, and essentially trying to understand the building blocks and where potentially there could be some biases, and helping our people identify that. There's also a lot about the AI literacy and making sure that people understand. Otherwise, I found that there's a lot of people who just refrain from using the tools just because they don't know if it's the right thing to do.
Exactly. I think a lot of people are scared of the tools. And adoption is different across companies. I'm sure is different across your company. And so basically cross-functional collaboration is really critical to some of this digital transformation. Can you share an example maybe where some cross-collaboration across teams is really key to a success?
I think what we're seeing in terms of managing our processes for a project is a good example. Right now, we're working with our business management system team, understanding what's the requirement for auditing purpose, but we've got some existing systems, legacy systems that are managed by our IT teams as well. Then there's all the financial component and understanding that. So you end up actually being a little bit of a link. It's an AI solution is not necessarily the agent that you're going to make in isolation. It's also the workflows, the existing system, understanding all of this and bringing that together. So that's quite fascinating how one small thing can actually link to multiple things in the end, and how you need to work together for better outcomes. AI can also, I have found that it can be an enabler for these teams who are just like, I've got too many questions, how can I reduce that? And you can actually work together to understand, well, these things, most likely we can have that, and really retrieve the information from documents that are existing, while others you may need to have user input, and that's these ones that we can help you ask to the end user. So it's really this collaboration work and once again working together that's making a difference, in my opinion.
Yes, it sounds like you've done so much, and I would say a relatively short period of time that where AI has been around, and as you look towards the future, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, what are you the most excited about?
There's so much that we can do. I think we're just scratching the surface at the moment. I'm really looking forward to actually, help our engineers do more and more. I think for now, all these very specific processes and what's in their head is still niche and maybe not where we're going to focus right now. I'd like to make it easier for them to do their work and for them to try and resolve all the problems that we can see ahead of us. I'd also like, with the initiatives run by BST and others, I'd really like the AEC industry to start shifting a little bit more as well. We talked about the concept of smart infrastructure, for example, about the concept of digital twins. They didn't really land, in my opinion, and I think we could do a lot more. And I think that's where we need to go in the next 5 years and 10 years, definitely. So operating our assets in a smarter way, I think will be really, really critical in the next 10 years.
As you look back, what would you say was maybe the best advice that you've been given?
I'd say the best advice was, if not you, then who? Because I tend to delegate things, and I don't see myself necessarily as an expert in AI when you compare to other people or things like that. But it's true that I know a little bit more than some people in my company, and now I know a lot more maybe, by accepting this position. And so that's something, that really resonated and shaped a little bit where I am now.
And just to close out, if you were to give advice to Nasrine 10, 15, 20 years ago, what would that be?
Take all the opportunities, never say no, just keep on going. I think I have worked a little bit with some early career professional, and sometimes they've got a preconceived idea of what they want to be doing. I never knew. I would never would have I thought that I would be here. So taking these opportunities and shaping them, you always have the opportunity to actually shape them. So I think it's a role, if I'm doing this role, it's my way of doing it. You could have someone very different doing it with a more technical approach or technology approach. I'm really linking the engineering to the technology. That's what I'm passionate about. So I think, take the opportunities.
Take the opportunities. Well, Nasrine, it sounds like you've taken your own advice and taking out the opportunities in heading AI at Mott MacDonald. I'm so impressed, and I'm looking forward to hear you speak at the event as well. And it's really been an absolute pleasure having you on the podcast today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Eileen. Great to be here.
And thank you to our audience for joining today on the Trailblazers podcast. Until next time, take care.